Let's hit the high road. Let's hit the high road. It's the first touch, strong connection. It lays deep in your soul. Feel the kindness strongly coming, 'cause you can achieve your goal. Let's hit the high road.
Hi, this is Nancy Yearelt, and welcome to High Road to Humanity. And here I am in my new location, you guys, in Connecticut. And I have a fabulous lady here, Alison Grace here, and she's joining us from the UK. And welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you for having me, Nancy. It's lovely to be welcomed onto your show. Thank you.
I'm excited that you're here. And she's written this cool book, you guys. It's The Mindful Medium, and she is a medium. And we're going to be talking about, well, let me just tell you what we're going to be talking about. I'm going to read some of this to you because I'm just fascinated by her book, and it takes a lot to fascinate me. So she said her journey, we're going to hear her story, but at the age of 10, her paternal grandfather came to her in a dream, and she had this recurring dream throughout her teenage years. And that opened her up, she says, to more possibilities. Now, as a teenager, she said, I felt many presences around me. I knew things were there watching me as I could feel them. And then strange things began to happen around me, especially when I was on my own. Things like footsteps coming down the stairs, TV and radio being turned on by themselves. So we're going to hear her full story, and she tells her story in her book, and there's so much cool information that I can't wait for you guys to hear it. Now, I do want to mention, because this is High Road to Humanity, the debates were last night, and I know you're in the UK, but I have to bring this up. So Biden and Trump finally got together, and I just kind of want to give my take on what I felt as an American from the debate. I've always supported Donald Trump because I believe he cares about the American people and he cares about values. And, our economy is so out of hand and our border is wide open. And there's so many issues right now. We have fentanyl coming across the borders. There's so much going on. But last night, I actually felt bad for President Biden because he has declined. And it was so evident, and it was actually very sad to see, but kind of scary because he's the leader of the free world as of right now. And so it was melancholy. It was great to see Trump. He was right on point. He brought across some great information, but it was just sad to see the decline. And you don't have to respond or anything if you want, Allison, but it's just, you hear about this stuff going on in the UK? I'm sure you
We
do.
do, we do. We hear, obviously, we hear a little bit about it. We have the same kind of elections coming up over here as well.
Wow.
And it's very difficult, isn't it? Because you sit, unless you're very into your politics, you listen to, if you're anything like me, I listen, I think, oh, yes, that's good. Then you listen to the next person, think, oh, yes,
Mhm,
that's good. And
mhm.
I find it quite hard because actually you want everybody to win. You want everybody to do well, don't you? That's the kind of fence I
Yeah.
sit on.
No, it's true. Well, and I always try to look at both sides. Yeah, just like you said, and
Exactly.
because you
Yes.
have to, you have to. The other thing I want to bring up today, and I won't make a big deal about it, but in Oklahoma and in several other states, they're bringing the Ten Commandments back into the classroom, into the schools. And this is so needed, not just in the United States, but across the world. And they're bringing the Bible back into and they're teaching children some of the biblical stories. And I have to tell you, with everything that's gone on in the world, when I saw that today, I was like, Amen.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah. So just want to say that.
Yeah, I mean, and honestly, I think we need a society or humanity, we do need to have a set of rules to
Mhm.
live by, and whatever our religion is, there are common threads, I think, with all rules. I mean, I'm brought up in the Christian faith. I know I'm a medium and I'm a very like spiritualist, but I look at all the different religions and I pull my understanding and my beliefs are pulled from all of them, like Buddhism, Hindu,
Me too. We're the
everything.
same.
You kind of pull it all together and whatever resonates. And for
Yeah.
me,
Yeah.
it's the Reiki principles that absolutely I think we ought to abide by, you know?
Well,
So
yeah, and I should read your bio because she's a Reiki master, you guys. Hold on a second. I'm just so excited you're here today because I really liked your book and you really you're authentic and I like that. Allison
thank
Gray is the
you.
mother of 4 young boys, you guys, between the ages of 2 and 11. So bless you for that. And she's written some meditations as inspiration and through her experience. She has over 20 years of teaching behind her and 10 years of speech and language based with children. So you work with children.
Yes, so my career started as a primary school teacher,
Okay.
and within about the second year of being a primary school teacher, I decided that actually the children that interested me the most were the children that were having difficulties, the children that had the behavioural issues, the the cognitive issues, the learning difficulties, not the high flying ones that were for me easy to teach. It
Right,
was the
right.
ones that were struggling. And I very quickly went down the road of working with the behavioural children and working with those with special needs. Got the experience teaching from kind of like we call them key stage 1, key stage 2, infant, junior. I'm not quite sure what that is in America, but the
Right.
primary range.
Elementary and mid school probably is what.
Yeah,
Yeah.
probably. Yeah, up till about like 11.
Okay. Elementary school then, yes.
Yeah, and then I went into special needs. So I actually became a special needs teacher and ran the base there for children with speaking or speech and language communication difficulties. So children also that had like autism or ADHD, children that really struggled to communicate and found the world a very different place. And for me, that I loved getting inside their heads, understanding them. So, and because I think as a medium, which kind of like was going along at the
Isn't that
side,
interesting? Isn't that
I
interesting?
kind of like had my professional job and my spooky job. And it just for me and the well-being and the mindfulness that I do all comes with trying to get children or people to understand who they are in their hearts and how they can express themselves freely. So I guess that was always my common thread. So yes, as a teacher, but more as a understanding children and helping and the healing aspect that comes along with that.
I think you as a medium that helped you in this work.
Definitely.
Tell your story. I'm gonna preface. I read as much book as like of your book as I could. It was really great. It was one you don't want to put down, you guys. But you say
Oh,
around the age of 12, you remember coming home from school and you sensed someone was in the house. So this was your first, tell us how this evolved. That was your first experience.
that was the first really weird experience, but going back before that, I think as a child, I was always slightly different. My mum used to always catch me staring at people. Now, I'm pretty sure at that age, I'm looking at the auras and the energy, but as a child, you don't realise what you're doing, do you? And I'm just
Yeah.
kind of like drinking in people's energies. And so I was always fascinated with people and nature and animals. And I just think that, I was quite a sensitive child and I was a very creative child. I was always in my head, the imagination was, I
Hmm.
loved reading and all of those kind of stories that took you into like a fantasy world or fairies or angels. I loved it all. But as I got older, you kind of like realised that things are a bit spooky or things are a bit scary. And I do remember my sister and I had the house key. So my mum was always at home until we got to what we call secondary school. And then she went off to back to work. And my
Hmm.
sister was supposed to be at home with me looking after me because I was only 12 and it was, in the house of my own.
Yeah.
And she was always late. She was always meeting the friends and staggered home late from school. And I remember being at home with the dog. I thought I'll just sit in front of the TV and just wait for my sister to come back. And you're sitting there thinking I can feel something, and then I can hear these steps. Somebody walking down the stairs. Now I knew I was the only one in the house because I'd opened the doors, and I'm
Mhm.
thinking this is just not right. When the dog looks at you, and you look at
Yeah.
the dog, you both
Animals.
go, you can hear that too. I scooted it and I shot out into the back garden and stayed there till my sister came. Scared me. But I was always aware of her presence in my room. So that wasn't necessarily the first, but that was the one that really spooked me. But at night time, I felt this presence, this man standing in my room, in the corner, always the same place. And I used to be scared by that because it was dark. But I
Right,
think the dark is the fear, isn't it?
right.
Because now I know that that's my guides. They're there watching me, looking after me. But
Oh,
I
I
was
can
scared, and I used
imagine.
to run up to my mum and dad saying, "I can't. There's somebody in my room."
And there really was, but it was your guides. Isn't that
But it was what, yeah,
crazy? Isn't
yeah.
that crazy? Well, and you say when you were pregnant, I thought this was interesting. With your first child, you started to astral travel, and I thought that was really cool.
So again, as a child, I've always been able to kind of like go certain far out of my body. I don't necessarily pop because I know that once I've popped, I'm not quite sure then what happens. Does that make sense? So I feel
Yeah,
my
why
body
would
rising and hovering and shaking, and I'm thinking something's not right. And I did that when I was pregnant, and then I got really spooked because I've got my baby, my first baby, and I'm like, I can't. What happens if I pop off and that's me gone and I can't get back? Then what's going to happen to my baby? So, yeah, you have all these thoughts and you just don't realize what's going on until you start to open up and develop and talk to other people, you know?
Right. Yeah. Well, and you had a group, I think you talk about you had a circle, and I just want to say this is wonderful. And I wish I had this because I really don't. And it would be nice. You had a circle of wonderful mediums that you worked with that
Yeah.
helped you, like, you all kind of helped each other, I think, didn't you?
Yes, so basically these are called development circles.
I love.
And you go there, so all people with like-minded or particular spiritual gifts,
Yeah.
and we all meet every week, and you have the tutor. So I'm now a tutor myself, so I have my own circle
You
these
got your own
days. But
circle. I
at,
love that.
yeah, at this point, I needed to find out what was going on. I needed somebody to tell me what was happening because my parents weren't into it. They didn't really know, so I wasn't getting any answers there. And also, you can read so many books, but I'm going back in the years where there was no Google and there was no, there was nothing
Right.
else. So you
Right.
didn't have that information or YouTube or anywhere or podcasts where you could like log on and listen. So I joined this group of like-minded people, and that's what we did. We learned how to ground ourselves, to open up, to protect our energies, and learned about the spirit world. Learned about guides, learned about angels, learned how to communicate, learned how to use our clairs,
Right.
um,
Well,
and work
let's
that
talk
way.
about this. I want to talk about this because I thought this was really interesting. In the book, you guys, she has a chapter that's all about spirit guides. And I love that you do this because, and you have different ones. One is a monk,
Yeah.
and, and one is your white wolf. That's your animal guide. I just think this is really cool. What really hit me, and I want to ask you about this. I hear about dragons as guides, but I don't know enough. And I think the audience, we don't know so much about this. Can you help out with that, with the dragons? 'Cause the reason I say this in the Bible, Archangel Michael, he's always fighting the dragon. And so we kind of have this like negative vibe about the dragons, but I've also heard very positive things that they are protectors of the earth.
They are. They are.
So
They're beautiful.
yeah, so tell me what you
They're
know.
Yeah, so my understanding on dragons. So when I was, and what interested me in dragons first of all, because again, like probably everybody else, these are myths and legends and folklores. But once you start to believe in angels, and then you believe in the elementals,
Yes.
and there's unicorns, why not dragons? But I was being attuned to Reiki, and I did my master's Reiki, and with my mentor. And as I was going and getting my attunement, this dragon came to me. So I knew that I had a dragon as a guide. And that sparked my interest in dragons. And then I started to kind of learn a little bit more about them. And they are guardians of the earth, and they are beautiful, but they're very different from angels. Angels resonate on a really high frequency,
Mhm.
whereas dragons have got a lower frequency. So dragons are beautiful for the earth and the ley lines and the ancient and the ancestry. So they can go lower into the earth to kind of cleanse the earth. So rather than the angels that are up above,
Oh,
the
I
dragons
see.
can use to clear
Got
to
it.
and to protect. So
Okay.
they've got a stronger, for me, they've got a stronger energy to them. And you've got different types of dragons. So you've got earth dragons, air dragons, water dragons, fire dragon, so you've got all of the elements of the dragons as
Now,
well.
is there good and bad, just like with everything else?
I guess there's always that light and dark. And
Yeah, I guess I should say light
we
and
always
dark,
have
not good
that
and
dual,
bad.
yes, no, but we do, we have that duality. But you
Yeah.
know what, Nancy, this is where I really enjoy talking to people, because a lot of people come in with like negative and fear. And
Yeah.
for me, because I resonate with the angels, because I resonate with the light, and I don't know whether I'm just lucky, but I don't really forget that. I don't really. I know everyone's going to be probably screaming at me going, of course there is, there's that duality.
Well, there's
But for
always light
me,
and dark. Yeah.
I've always kind of gone to the light. So I don't fear the dragons. I don't think, oh, they're dragons and they're going to breathe their fire. I see their fire as transmutating like negative lower energy. Do you see what I mean? So I
Yeah.
always look at it in a way that's going to be helpful for us,
Okay.
rather than they're going to scorch us and burn us, you know?
Yeah, no, that's good to know. I'm sure the audience is happy to hear that too. Let's talk about the angels. I was pleasantly surprised. I've got a new book coming out about angels. I was telling you about it before the
I
show.
know, it's
It's
going
a
to be
guide.
exciting.
Yeah, and I loved this is so cool because you've got the angel wings behind you, I have to say. And
Yeah.
I got my angel wings on somewhere here. My necklace is turned. But the thing is, I think it's so important that people connect to spirit, and so important that people connect to their guardian angel. And it was nice to see that I guess, another practitioner, another medium to say, okay, yes, everybody has a guardian angel. Yes, it's really important that you connect.
Yeah,
And because angels are messengers of God, and they're healers and
absolutely.
they're protectors. So, do you want to talk about it a little bit? Like how you just so I'm not the only one going, hey.
I could talk about angels all day. I just love their energy. And I think the first time I was really introduced to angels was like, through a meditation. And I just got this overwhelming feeling of love. You know, and you can see, so with me, I have been able to see. I can see sometimes, I can hear audibly sometimes, but generally it's kind of like in your mind's eye, isn't it? That's how we connect. And when my angel came, it was like I couldn't necessarily see it, but I could see it so clearly because I could feel it so
Right.
clearly. Does that make sense?
Hmm.
And I could feel the wings coming around, and I could feel myself being surrounded with unconditional love. And it was just beautiful. And although I know that they're neither male or female, but I just felt a real feminine, divine energy with her. And I asked her what her name was, and the first name that came to me, which is what I always trust, the first thing that comes to me, never overthink anything. And she gave me Moonstone, and I thought,
Yeah.
beautiful, because I love my crystals. Moonstone, I love that. So me, being quite practical, I said, right, I need to have some evidence of this. I need to be able to see Moonstone. And do you know what? I got three different signs, but one of the major ones was I'd gone to school the next day. I was standing at the photocopier, and I was wearing a necklace that my mother-in-law had given me, which I'd been wearing for ages and hadn't really thought about it. And the lady on this particular day, even though I've been wearing it for ages, this other lady said to me, the other teacher, she said, Alison, that's a really beautiful necklace you've got on. And I was like, oh, what is it? And I looked down, and it was my moonstone.
Oh my gosh.
I was just like, oh, and now I've even gone goosey now, and I just thought, right, okay, I've had me three signs. Her name is definitely Moonstone. So my guardian angel, that's her name now.
I love it. Well, yeah, and I've named mine. And, I will say she stands right next to me, and all of our angels stand right next to us. And we just need to acknowledge. And you wrote this in your book, and I wanted to mention it too. Um, you wrote, we all have a guardian angel. They don't judge us, they help us navigate through life. But the biggest thing is we have to ask. We have free will, and they're not allowed to intervene. Most of the, I know there's times where they do, but
In
correct.
emergencies,
But we have
yeah.
to ask. And I'll tell you what, I just will say this. I communicate with my guardian angel daily, and I teach everybody. And I think everybody should learn how, because I think it would help everybody raise their vibration and have a better connection with the divine. What do you think?
Oh, absolutely. And the frequency that they radiate is, as I said, it's a high vibration. It's a clear, it's honest, it's unconditional love, compassion. Our spirit guides have walked the earth with us, so they're on a different
Level.
frequency,
Yeah.
and they can help us in lots of different ways. Our loved ones, our spirit loved ones, can come in, and they all know our blueprint, they all know our journey, they all know where to get us, and our guides and our loved ones will, do that for us. But our angels, they're like super polite, aren't they? They're
Yes.
just, and we just have to ask them in to come in and say, please help us, because they don't like to interfere.
Right.
Um, but they're willing to help at a drop of a hat, and they will send us signs like all the others. They'll send us signs, but
Yeah.
they will give us that feeling of comfort and love
Comfort. Yeah. Well,
whenever we need it.
you talk about the numbers, and I didn't mean to interrupt your last thought.
Mm,
I'm so excited because I love that you have the angel numbers in here because I see the angel numbers all the time. I'm going to read a couple, you guys. So 222, she says one becomes two, partnerships, the coming together, either through a partnership, romantic or business, or a situation is resolving itself. And what she's got the 222s, the 1111, the 333s, the 444s, the 555s. I'm at 555 right now, which is appropriate. Mine is
yes.
major. I'm just telling you, that's what I see all the time. I see fours and fives. Fours are, you guys, if you see them all the time, the number of angels, they are surrounding you at this moment, giving you love and support. And, every time I see that 444, I no, it's like, okay, it's confirmation.
Right.
Same thing with
Yeah.
the 333. Now I want to back up a little bit. You were 33 when you started this spiritual journey.
Yes.
And as I was moving, this is so interesting. I kept seeing threes, 333, 333. And then I saw it in your book. And then I read that Jesus was 33 when he started his spiritual journey. So man, that number, the numbers, it's
It resonates, yeah. I love, for
God.
me, Jesus is an amazing ascended master.
Mhm.
I've got a beautiful picture by, I don't know whether you know a man called Patrick Gamble, who is a visionary artist
Yeah,
here in the UK.
yeah.
Um, Amazing, amazing man. And he's done a picture of Jesus, and my friends in my circle bought it for me for my birthday. So he's on my wall there with all my angels and everything else, because I just love that connection of 333s. That does remind me of Jesus, but it's also that when I do my birth sign as well, when I total up, the day that I was born and the year and things, I'm a three number anyway. So it's all
Fancy.
about the creativity as well. So.
That's so crazy. Well, you guys, I just want to say, what a phenomenal book, first of all. There is
Thank
so much cool
you.
information. She talks about the moon. She talks about,
Love
so
the
much
moon.
stuff. There's so much I want to talk about still. And we only have like so much time, you guys, but you talk about the angelic realm. You also talk about crystals. You talk about numbers. And there's some other stuff here in the back that you talk about that I thought was really, really cool. And it's connecting with God, connecting with the divine, and how important it is. You talk about protection, calmer kids. I mean, I just feel like this is like a good manual if somebody's trying to get into this and, start this
Yeah.
journey. Don't you agree? I just think this is really, really awesome. What out of here is really important that you'd like to share with us?
Well, I feel like the book was talked about to me, with my guides, and that it was something that I felt I needed to do. So a lot of the material in there, I'd been teaching anyway. So because I've been running classes, running workshops, running groups, and I just thought, you know what, for me, it was important not just to share my story, but I wanted a book or some place that I could have had when I was starting, because I didn't have that, and I was in the dark for a long time, not knowing what was going on. But if I could have had a book to say, look, this was my experience, this is my journey, I could have resonated with that and thought, oh, I'm not weird, I'm not going mad, and this is fairly normal.
Right,
and
right,
then
right.
and then as I started to open up and awaken and develop, I had to go to many different teachers. I had like my mentor that taught me about mediumship. I had my healing mentor. I had to go to somebody else to teach me crystals or about the angels, and I had lots of different teachers, which was beautiful. Really lovely. But I just kind of thought, is there a place where I can put it all in one?
Right.
And then the work that I do and the reason why it's called the mindful medium, because I do a lot of mindfulness work. In the Karma Kids is working with children, getting them to understand themselves. But that's not just for children, that's about us all getting back to who we are.
Right.
um, and so I wanted to have a section in the back there so that we could, you know, understand who we are, develop who we are, be happy with who we are, and celebrate who we are, really. And tips to get us grounded, tips to protect us, tips to find our gifts and our purpose in life so that we can not just be who we are, but to go out in the world and help everybody else as
Mm.
well.
Well, there's a lot of light workers, and you do a chapter talking about light workers. There's a lot of us down here doing this work, helping each other. That's
Yes,
what and I think you say it that way, that the light workers are really here to help each other and help
yeah,
the planet. I feel to help the planet and the animal
absolutely.
kingdom.
We have to look after our planet, don't we? I mean, we're living here, we have to.
Mhm.
I don't know whether you know astrology as well, because that was the other thing. When I was younger, I was into the astrology because
Good.
for me that was the science bit. That was the bit I could get the reader material on. That was the bit that really made sense to me. And again, with astrology, you find out who you are. You know, if you're a Virgo, these are your traits. If you're a Capricorn, these are your traits. You know, if you're an earth sign, a water sign. So for me, it made logical sense.
Mhm.
Um, and I just think as a Virgo, I'm very attuned to the earth. I love going outside in nature. And, you know, anytime that life gets stressful or tricky or busy, just walking out in nature and allowing all of her energy, because I do see her as a female, sorry.
I do too. I do too. No, it's
Mother
fine.
Earth, Mother Earth.
Mother
But
Earth,
I just see
yeah.
that she absorbs all of that for us. You know, so if she can do that beautiful thing for us, what can we do for her? We have to treat her with respect.
Yeah, and I
Um,
love that you say that. And Allison, it's not just whatever sign you are, people need to walk out. I talk about this all the time. I've been doing it. I just moved. I actually have some grass instead of rocks to stand on. And the
lovely.
energy of the earth, Mother Earth's energy, whatever you want to call it, you can
Yeah,
feel it. If you stand
yeah,
out there without your shoes on, you can feel the energy coming up through the bottoms of your feet. And we used to not wear shoes, and there was a reason for that because
mm,
it's healing. And the crazy thing is, I have to mention this because I was outside. I had movers here yesterday, and here come this guy running down the street with shorts on. Young guy, he was running, and he didn't have shoes on. I'm like, this guy's running barefoot. What's up
yeah.
with that? So a little while later, I thought that was really weird. The movers kind of looked at him strange. I thought, they were like making jokes. What's he running from? That kind of thing. And then, not too long, there comes a girl. And she's got on her shorts and she doesn't have shoes or socks on and she's running. So I'm realizing that the younger people, and this is just an observance yesterday,
Yeah, yeah.
they're realizing it. Isn't this cool?
It's beautiful. I think this is beautiful because you go out into other countries, and they don't have the shoes. Like Aborigines, and they don't. Going back in time, we walked the earth, didn't we?
Hey, yeah,
I never have shoes on. I hate shoes.
I do
I mean,
too.
I have flip flop. I'm known for this, like through my friends and stuff. It's Alison's the one with the flip flops. I have flip flops barefoot, and I might have a pair of Uggs or boots in the winter. Apart from that, I don't have high heels. I don't have anything. I
Yeah,
would rather be barefoot.
right.
Probably dirty feet, but they are
But it's that
they're
energy.
connected to the earth.
Yeah, it's the heal. Well, it's really healing. I just, that energy is so healing. And now I have a question, just out of curiosity, because I learned all this stuff after my kids were already grown. But are you teaching your kids? Are you teaching your children some of your practices? Because I feel like that's what we need to do. I just
Yeah,
want, are you?
yeah, absolutely, definitely. They've all got different understandings. My eldest is pretty much an atheist, although
Oh, no way.
he is coming out of that. He is coming out of it. He really listens to what I do. He listens to, and he's very proud of what I do as
Oh,
well.
cool.
And
Good.
they all kind of range in their understandings. But I'm very, very open. I talk about healing. I talk about crystals. They've all had crystals in their room. They've all had crystals under their pillow, under their beds. I'm like, would you like me to give you some healing? Some of them like yes. Some of them like no, mum. But but it's there and it's open, and I don't hide from it. When I was a primary school teacher, I kind of learned to be a teacher and a professional, and then go home and be who I was. And now I was like, I can't do that.
No,
I
right, who
have to
you are.
be. Yeah, and so actually, the more you talk about it to people, the more you realize that other people are curious and other people are interested. I had one of my sons talking about like past life and things,
Love it.
and the Egyptians and stuff, and I just love
Oh,
it.
what?
I
I love
love it.
it.
So, and we talk about, our loved ones that have passed, being on the clouds and then watching us and being with us, and they're always here. So I've always been very, very open with my boys,
Oh,
definitely.
that's awesome. I want to say a couple things. One, just your energy, being in the classroom with the children because you did your Reiki practice. Even though you separated the two, when you would go, they would feel your energy, and that,
Absolutely. Yeah.
yeah, that's huge. I just want to commend you because I
And
know,
that telepathic kind of
yeah.
connection,
Well,
you
yeah,
knew you knew what they were wanting when they couldn't communicate. And so I think that was really helpful.
I think autistic children do communicate telepathically.
Mm,
I absolutely believe that.
definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. The other thing, what was the other thing? Just went out of my head now. There was something else I was going to ask you, now I can't think. But yeah, working with the kids, I think that's phenomenal. I think that's phenomenal. I don't know what else I was going to ask you, but I love your book, and I'm real. Oh, I know. Talk more about your grandfather because I thought that was really important, and maybe the audience can understand if something like that would happen because you were communicating with him and bringing forth messages. And I thought this was really. I don't want to give away your whole book, but as I understand it, they were put up as plaques. They're almost like framed on the walls. Talk about this. What?
Oh, that okay. So I've got two. So the first one was
Okay. Am I mixing
my
them?
paternal. No, 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 that's fine. My
Okay.
paternal grandfather was the one who passed away when I was younger. The first person I know to have passed over, and
Okay.
I was 10 and I was scared because I thought I was never going to see him again. And he started to come in to my dreams, and sat through me and kind of made me realize that actually when you pass over, you transcend. You continue. It's not the end of life. There's something else out there. So he was the one that really opened me up to all of this, and he's my one of my guides today. And then a few years later, my other granddad, my maternal grandfather, died. And again, he came through in a dream because I didn't realize that he was particularly ill, and he had like an aneurysm, so he would just have collapsed. And I dreamt that we had to go and we were in a confession box, and we had to go and say goodbye to my grandfather. And we're not even Catholic, so I don't even know where that came from. And then I found out that he passed the next day. But what was beautiful about him was that my nan was still here and she was heartbroken. And being a writer, being somebody that always wrote and being creative, like I've already said, I would always find, I've always got a pen, I'm always scribbling, I'm always doing something, but I
Yeah.
wasn't really into poetry, not really, and I just started to want to write these poems, all these poems, and I'm like, where are they coming from? And I realized later they were just channeled through, and I looked at them and I thought, these aren't for me, these have to be for my nan. And so I gave them to her and said, these are from grandpa. And she did, she put them in a frame and put them on her wall,
I
bless
have
her.
chills. I have chills on that one. That's amazing.
Yeah,
He sent through his love in the form of poetry so that you
yeah,
could write
to
it
bring,
down, give it to
yeah, to
her.
bring her comfort.
God
Yeah,
bless. That is so phenomenal.
yeah.
Well, I have to
I
say,
don't write poetry now. I can't write it now. It was kind of like I went through a
you
phase of
channeled.
writing it, and now I'm like, well, I don't even know how to write that now.
And you do touch on channeling in your book, and I was telling you before the show, and the audience knows I channel. But I think everybody can channel. It's just a
Absolutely.
matter of, you just got to be careful of what you channel or who you channel. See, that's my thing. I'm always like, you just want to say a prayer. I always say a prayer before I do it.
Yes,
But
yes.
Allison, it's been a pleasure. Is there anything you want to leave us
Oh,
with today?
oh, it's just been so much fun. It's been really lovely to connect with you. It's been, particularly like we've got so much in common with the angels and the passion I think for this. I mean, I think everybody has got gifts. Everybody can link into the spirit world. Everybody is being guided. And I just think that if we can find some time in the day where we can just sit quietly, ground, and just allow that inspiration to come through us, just to kind of be connected, to know that we're always looked after, to know that we're always being cared
Watched
for
over. Yeah.
and watched over. And I guess without sounding too funny, just, just how you want to be treated, treat other people in the way that you want to be treated. That for me is just really important. And just be conscious that everybody's going through something. So when somebody comes along and they may not be in the greatest mood, rather than just reacting to that, try and understand where everybody's
Compassion.
coming from. That compassion, definitely.
Yeah, gosh, yes, absolutely. Yeah, because that happens. Everybody runs into people and you're like, what? But you have no idea what's going on in somebody else's life.
Yeah, there's always
You know?
something behind. And and that's what I used to always say about the children in my classroom as well, because I always got told they're the naughty class, they're the
Ah,
naughty children. And I was like, no,
oh
they've got
my
this
gosh.
is what's going on with that child. And that's why I think I was drawn to them, to try and get them to understand that actually they're not naughty, but they need to learn what's going on with them, and then how to manage their emotions and how to express their emotions. And it's the same with the adults as well. There's always something else going on. So try not to judge. That's one of
Yes, I hear you.
the key principles. Yes.
Well, and that's something that we really do. It's one of my pet peeves. It took me many years. I think probably, I don't even know how many years ago, somebody brought up judgment and I started to realize it. And it's been something that I've been able to recognize in myself and in other people, because we have a society that judges everything and
Yeah.
everybody, and we got to stop that. How do people find you? Do you do readings? How do people do you give
Yes.
classes? Sell yourself here, Allison. How do people
Oh.
find you?
So I do have a website. So it's Alison Gray Medium. That's my website. And on there you can contact me. I do readings, I do healing. I do courses as well. So I run circles. I do mentorships. Um, yeah, and I've got a few things coming up as well. There's something coming up. I can't really say anything now, but I have been asked to do something in America, so that would be
Oh,
quite
maybe
nice.
you come see us.
I don't know if they're traveling, but it's definitely over Zoom. But that would
Oh,
be
okay.
really nice. That again would be like a teaching, so I can do those teaching. I do past life regression as well. So yeah, I'm on Instagram, Facebook, so
And
you can
what's your
find.
website again?
It's AlisonGrayMedium.com.
Okay, you guys, and that's Grey. Hey, it's been a pleasure. I have to say, it was
Been
so
lovely.
great to meet you. You guys, my book's coming out soon. As soon as I have pre-sales, I'll let you know. Take my angel class. I'm going to be doing it live in person here in Connecticut and Massachusetts and Boston, around this area. And so stay tuned on my website, nancyyearout.com, to see where I'll be and where I'll be speaking. And if you want an angel reading, just book on my website, nancyyearout.com. Alison Gray, it's been a pleasure. I hope everybody has a fabulous week, and God bless.
Hold your head high, the world is coming. Watch the colors lift your soul. Connect the dots and keep the motion. Can achieve your goal. Let's hit the high road.